we're going to talk about solving literal equations or formulas for a variable. So today we're going to kind of review the rules for solving equations. Then we're going to solve a formula for a variable. What that means when we solve a formula for a variable means we're going to isolate the variable. So if we have something like area equals 1/2 height times the sum of the bases, sometimes we might know everything but this base. And if we solve it up front for that base, it makes doing a whole bunch of other problems a lot easier. So that's what I mean by solving for a variable. Okay, we're going to use all the rules that we've learned so far. So remember, just our basic steps would be to get rid of parentheses, combine like terms, move our variables all to one side and the numbers to the other. And in this case, we're going to move everything but the variable we're solving for to one side. And then we're going to undo adding and subtracting and undo multiplying and dividing. The tough thing about this is sometimes there's a lot of different ways to approach these. And sometimes we get equations that are equivalent, but they don't look the same. So sometimes it's hard to see that they're equivalent. So I'm going to solve this equation two different ways. If we're solving for W, we can distribute so that I get P equals 2L plus 2W. And so to get W by itself, sometimes circling it helps. I'm going to subtract 2L from both sides. Since those are not like terms, I'm going to get P minus 2L equals 2W. And then I'm going to divide everything by 2. Now P minus 2L divided by 2 equals W. If I approach this a different way, my answer might look a little bit different. So I can, if I wanted to, divide everything by 2 first, because this is just multiplication. So if I divide everything by 2, I'm going to get P divided by 2 equals L plus W. And now all I need to do is subtract L from both sides. So I get P divided by 2 minus L equals W. Now these look like they're different answers, different equations, but they're really the same. All of these are equivalent. If I wanted to split this, if you think about how you add and subtract fractions, I could write this as P divided by 2 minus 2L over 2 equals W. And then my 2's would cancel. And as you can see, we have the exact same equations. Either of these, actually any of this, or this, are good solutions. Let's look at the next example. We want to solve this equation for y. So I want to get y by itself. So if this was just 10 minus 5y equals 80, so if it was just this, you guys would know exactly what to do. It's not going to change. We would subtract 10 from both sides, right? And basically you would have negative 5y equals 80 minus 10 if I were to write it horizontally like that. So if I subtract 10x from both sides, that means I'm going to get the negative 5y equals negative 10x plus 80. Please make sure you're not missing that negative. Remember that negative, or that subtraction, goes with that term and makes it a negative. Okay. So now all I have to do to get y by itself, just like here, if I would combine these, all I have to do to get y by itself is divide by negative 5. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to divide everything by negative 5. Okay. So that's going to give me y equals negative 10 divided by negative 5 is 2, so 2x, and 80 divided by negative 5 is negative 18, I think. You know me, I have to double check my math, right? So I am going to do that real quick because you know I'm not good at that. See, and as I was right, it's negative 16. All right, so there's my final answer. We're going to be seeing a lot of this later in the year. Okay, let's look at the next example. We're going to solve y minus 4 equals 3x minus 8 4x. So this is what we're trying to keep by itself. So I want to get rid of this negative 8 or minus 8. To do it, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. I'm going to get y plus 4 equals 3x. I'm going to then divide, to get the x by itself, everything by 3. So I'm going to get y divided by 3 plus 4/3 equals x. Okay, we talked about this in the classroom, that y over 3 is the same as saying 1/3 y plus 4/3 equals x. Okay. If you are still struggling with fractions, you're going to need to stay with me, figure something out, use some IXL, look at other videos, but we got to get this fraction stuff done. Okay. Another example, m minus hp equals d, and we're going to solve that one for p. So we're solving for this. Watch what happens if I put in numbers. You know exactly how to do this. Okay, same kind of thing. I just put a 3 in for m, a 2 in for h, and a 4 in for d. First thing I would do would be to subtract 3, right? So negative 2p equals 1. First thing I'm going to do over here is I'm going to subtract the m. But d and m are not like terms, so when we combine them, remember, it's just negative hp equals d minus m. Again, remember that, keep pointing this out. This goes here and becomes that negative. Okay, now all I have left to do over here is divide by negative 2, so p is negative 1/2. All I have to do over here is divide by negative h. So p is, we can do d minus m over negative h, okay? Or we could split it, and we could do p equals negative d over h. Negative and negative, when we divide, becomes a positive, m over h. Either of those are fine. Sometimes you'll see mathematicians tend not to like that negative in the denominator, so what they do is they just change everything to its opposite, okay? So that it becomes negative d plus m divided by positive h. Or then again, m minus d divided by positive h. All of these are equivalent equations. They represent the same thing, just moved around. Okay, last example. Because my s is on the bottom here, I can't multiply by s to get rid of it, and I can't multiply by 1 over s to get rid of it. So we just studied proportions, so remember our cross products are equal. So negative 4s is equal to a times x, and then all I've got to do is divide by negative 4, so s equals negative ax over 4. And I actually want to throw one more equation in there. Let's do volume equals 1/3 base times height, and let's solve for h. Okay, in order to do that, I would get rid of this 3 first by multiplying both sides by 3, so that I get 3v equals bh, and then just divide by b. So 3v divided by b equals h. It doesn't matter how many variables you have. Okay, if I'm solving this one for t, PRT means p times r times t. So I can divide by PR, and I can say interest equals principal times rate equal to time. All right, so I threw a couple extra examples in there for you. So today we reviewed rules for solving equations, and then we learned how to solve a formula for a variable. Have a math-tastic day.